Last week we brought you part one of our look at the inaugural Thoroughbred Sport Horse National Championships, with over 270 horses competing over a weekend at Stonewall Equestrian in New South Wales. Here we look at Australia's 155-year-old thoroughbred sales company Inglis and its whole-of-life approach to sponsoring initiatives caring for thoroughbreds away from the racetrack.
Down, double down, going to be 600. Come on, stick with him by Franklin.
Arthur, it's fantastic to see so many people out and about supporting Thoroughbred Sport Horse Association. It's quite an incredible event, the National Championships, isn't it?
Oh yes, look, credit to Chrissy Harris and her team for such a wonderful event they put on here. It's a magnificent place. It's a wonderful spot to be, and I think all the competitors are enjoying themselves. But it does have, as you said, very wide industry support. So it's a delight to be here.
And Inglis, you've obviously sponsored the team's event, which was fantastic to see. And there's the Inglis ring, the Inglis jump. It really is important, I guess, for no matter whether it's a sales company or a trainer or anyone in the business of horse racing and breeding, to be really supporting these thoroughbreds away from the track.
Yeah, I think you can see the support for this type of concept spread widely, as you say, from a number of different industry areas. But yes, certainly the breeders, anyone who works in the thoroughbred industry and supports it, and commercially as well, as you can see from the array of sponsors in behind this event.
I'll take a 10 round the ring because I'm going to sell him at 270,000. Is there any more?
And when you look at some of the horses that are competing, I mean, there's Tilly McCarroll on All Too Royal, who was an Inglis Easter graduate from Golden Farms, a $270,000 yearling. Now, these sorts of horses, that was an elite horse, obviously won over 400,000 on the track, but they're not all that, are they? Some of them have gone through sales and been worth a lot of money, and others haven't even been through a sales ring or been raced at all.
No, that's a wonderful thing about it. It's open to all, and yes, there are some of these former stars that are starring in this, but some of them have had quite a modest, let's say, career in the racing world. There's plenty of opportunity for them ahead.
William Hodgkiss, he has a Horse Verity's Boy, or Night Flash, who's by Nakupe Pa, and I find it quite fascinating seeing the different sire lines, the different, female pedigrees involved in these horses as well. I mean, there's not one particular type that's necessarily throwing the best show jumpers or the best dressage horses, are they?
Yes, well, that's right. I can't talk too much about the dressage world, but I know a fair bit about the show jump world, and as you probably agree, there's no obvious show jumper. You have to try them all and see how they go. And like you say, they can be any shape and size and buy anything out of anything. Largely temperament, intelligence and their application to it. And of course the skills of the rider and educator.
And speaking of the educator, I mean, you see through your Inglis sales the enormous dedication and care of all the thoroughbred studs and the staff, and we see tears sometimes when their favourite yearling is sold and leaves the stud they work at. But that early education, I mean, that is all part of what makes these horses so tractable for these sorts of competitions after racing.
Absolutely, absolutely, and we've seen it more in my life over the years, how well, as you say, and professionally horses are handled basically from foal, and that no doubt makes them more suitable for this type of competition. I'm not just speaking about show jumping, of course, but all the other things that thoroughbreds are well suited to.
And as you mentioned, some of the sponsors, I mean, John Singleton and Strawberry Hill Stud obviously is the major sponsor for this competition, and it really is important, I guess, to get that message out to anybody involved in racing and breeding, just to put a little bit in or a lot, and it really makes a difference as far as the prize money for people who, a lot of these people have travelled quite some way and they're there for 3 or 4 days to compete.
I feel sure the common denominator is the love of the horse and the wish to see that they have a whole of life experience and they are looked after racing, which is the key of all of this. And thanks, as I said before, to Chrissy and Harris and her team for leading the way with this, and everyone else for supporting.
I believe there's really a role for the quiet thoroughbred that's come off the track. Usually they've been exposed to so many things They've been, racing, and they've been handled and stabled. They've been taken to many places on and off trucks. They're so well educated that they are really fantastic horses. If the temperament is right for a young child, they are match made in heaven. They're quiet, they're tractable, they're trainable, and they're dependable. And they're often a lot better than other breeds like the Welsh or, breeds that have actually traditionally been bred for children. The Thoroughbred, I bought several recently to go into Centennial Park, for instance. Novice children, 11 to 14, that want that horse that can do everything. It's amazing how adaptable they are if their temperament suits a child.
What do you look for in a thoroughbred? What are some of the things you think, if someone, a young person is looking for a thoroughbred, what do they need to know about the breed?
They need to know that they are, once you've got the temperament right, once they're quiet enough, and they've often, if they've come off the track and they've been with a professional rider for a couple of years, they have been so well trained, they've been exposed to everything. They might have done a little bit of dressage, a little bit of eventing, a little bit of show jumping. By that stage, they're absolutely dependable and reliable for a younger novice rider because they're usually just so well exposed to everything. There are different temperaments on thoroughbreds. Some might jump up to be top level eventers, some might end up top dressage horses or show horses, but there's another category in between, which is a quiet, wonderful horse that might jump up to a metre and do up to elementary dressage that really suits that young child market. Really, really useful in that sort of 13 or maybe 11 to 15-year-old child bracket. The incentive that Chrissy has begun is actually letting us look at thoroughbreds again. And the more we look at them and the more professional riders think about, opportunities that thoroughbreds can present to them with the incentives that Chrissy set up, the more we're going to rediscover the really talented ones that, could take riders all the way to the top. I mean, eventers have always looked at thoroughbreds, but I think we'll see a re-insurgence in the show jumping and the dressage world because of incentives like this. And horses that might have been undiscovered will be found again. The quieter ones that might not be superstars will be rehomed to wonderful homes to teach young riders and amateurs. So it's a really wonderful incentive.
It would be my dream for it to all come together under one umbrella, but realistically that's not really what the whole equestrian world is anyway. Yes, we have Equestrian Australia, but as you go from state to state, there's different bodies manage different elements of horse sport. So probably that, if it is manageable, is a long way off. But in the meantime, it would be great to see from the industry, from the thoroughbred industry, to have some guidance around an industry budget for this type of event.
There's a lot of intelligence behind a thoroughbred, and that's probably what makes them so thoughtful with the riders you put on them. If they're well educated, they're actually able to think through the person who's on board and offer what that person needs with quite a lot of kindness, and that really is an amazing attribute to the breed, because other breeds, an Arab, very, very sensitive and hot, can be very difficult for a lot of riders. The same with a Welsh. Warm bloods can be too complicated and too much horse, where a thoroughbred really does seem to think through who's on board, and that's an amazing attribute.
And it's obviously growing. I mean, what Chrissy and the team there at Thoroughbred Sport Horse have done, and everyone else doing similar competitions, there really does feel like there's a massive groundswell of support and, of course, more interest in how we treat our thoroughbreds away from racing. It just seems to be getting bigger and bigger. Yeah,
very true to say, and long may it continue. You're right. I've observed it growing, the support for it growing, and the number of horses competing and so forth, and the quality of competition continues to grow, so long may it thrive.
What she's done with the 6-bar, she set a world record now for thoroughbreds in a 6-bar at 1.75 m, which is an incredible height. And when that starts to get out, will we see America, will we see England putting on thoroughbred only 6-bars challenges and shows like this? Chrissy might revolutionise the world and refocus our interest on the thoroughbred and its usefulness after racing.